This episode of Rewired is supported by Neuroni. Over 20 years of experience and more than 500 companies served, Neuroni helps companies grow faster with AI tailored to their business and embedded into real workflows that deliver measurable value. Neuroni helps teams reduce friction, improve decision-making, and scale with confidence.
So that
Over
was
60%, that is a huge amount.
That was a very big success.
Claude has launched sub-agents on a Thursday. On Friday I said I will need to experiment with it, and I played all my time until Monday morning. On Monday morning, my colleague, our CTO, Dragos, called me and said, do you know what happened during the weekend? We ended up spending $700.
So we'll just pass it to the IT.
And it doesn't work.
It doesn't work because unless it comes from the top of the company and there's a real strategy for implementing it and people are trained to use it and to understand the benefits and how that integrates into their processes, it won't work. It will just be another IT product or IT project that will probably not be successful and nobody will know how to measure.
Welcome to Rewired. Today's episode is Dr. Alexandra Cernian, who has been a professor at Politehnica Bucharest since 2007. That is the foundation of everything else she does. She's a researcher first, a PhD in systems engineering, a postdoc, 4 books, 4 book chapters, and over 50 published papers, with active research in AI, NLP, sentiment analysis, and blockchain. She supervises doctoral students. She also teaches AI and business intelligence to engineers who are about to enter the workforce. From that base, she does things most academics do not. Since 2018, she has been an expert evaluator for the European Commission, sitting on a panel that decides which AI and innovation proposal receives EAC Accelerator and Horizon Europe funding. She does technical due diligence for venture capital funds, assessing whatever the AI inside a startup actually works. She was delivering over 200 training sessions, consulting sessions, and national and international companies. She is a member of a Romanian National Council for Digital Transformation. In 2024, Capital magazine named her one of the Romanian's top 100 successful women for her contribution to AI and digitalization. What makes her unusual guest is the fact that she's spending nearly 2 decades studying this technology rigorously, and she has watched over every hype cycle from inside the institution that is supposed to produce lasting knowledge. She knows the difference between what research actually says and what organizations believe. The gap is what the episode is about. Enjoy it.
Rewired. Raw, real, unfiltered.
Hi, Alexandra.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Thanks for accepting our invitation. And,
Thank you for inviting me.
We have quite a number of questions prepared for you, but before we dive into, I'd like to ask you if you can tell our audience who are you and what are you doing?
I'm an associate professor at the University Politehnica of Bucharest. This is also where I studied, so when I graduated, I decided to continue with an academic career. So I started with my PhD, which at the moment, just by accident, happened to be in AI. At the moment, I had no idea that artificial intelligence would be such a hype today. Mm-hmm. So now I also teach AI and blockchain technologies, among others.
Nice.
And besides what I do at the university, I also work very closely with deep tech startups on innovation topics. I started working as an evaluator for the European Commission over 10 years ago, which was a very interesting activity because I started to discover so many nice ideas and to also understand what people were doing outside of Romania and what they were thinking about and what innovations were happening around us. So then I continued with this ecosystem, working with startups. I also still do evaluations and do consultancy in this area and workshops and so on. And this is something that I really like. And I do my best to also bring innovation and the innovation mindset to the students at the university.
Do you have a number of hats that you're wearing during the day?
These would be the 2 most important. I'm happy to be also working with private companies because I think that also helped me with what I do at the university to understand what the market needs and maybe adjust what I teach and how I approach the students. to have a better match with what companies are looking for.
What is the moment when a deep tech startup feels the need to call in you for help?
Sometimes from the very beginning, when they have an idea, especially if the founders are very young and haven't had previous experience. So that would be a moment when they need to discuss with maybe someone more experienced in different areas, also in technology. But I think more than for them, more than understanding the innovative part, it's very important to understand how to work with the market, how to identify the needs of the market, because a lot of times, I think this is a well-known fact that when we talk about startups, they think about a technology, but they don't try to understand if their technology would solve a real problem. And this is where we have to start. What problem are you trying to solve, and who needs that problem to be solved? How many people or how many companies would be willing to pay for what you're doing, so that you understand if you have a big enough market so that your effort is worth or not.
So at the beginning, they're engineers who are talented and very enthusiastic about a solution that they have, but we don't know if we have yet the right problem to
Exactly.
solve. Yeah, so we are searching the problem with the solution in hand.
And I think this is, besides the funding problem, I think this is one of the most well-known issues for startups failing, because they start from the solution and not from the problem. And so they work and invest in developing the solution, and then they discover there's no problem, real problem to be solved, or that their targeted customers don't really need that problem to be solved, or are not willing to pay for that. So then that's a dead end for them. If they understand the right entrepreneurial mindset, which has to be willing to pivot a lot. Some of them make it by understanding what the market needs and being willing to also shift their solution or the product, or even completely the entire business idea that from where they started. Those who are not willing to do that, they just consider it an epic fail and maybe try something else or try a new business idea at some point. But this is definitely one of the points where startups are looking for some help in mentorship or consultants, business incubators, accelerators, and different types of programs that can help them understand what a business plan looks like and what they should be doing as next steps. Then there's also the next level where they manage to develop a solution. They have a basic business plan, but they need to improve it and reach a higher development level. That's also a point where they need a little bit of support to expand on the idea, and also on the entire business plan, starting from the solution to understand the customer needs again, and the market and the entire business model that they are implementing.
Considering that you've seen a lot of startups that you helped, yeah, and you've seen also startups that are still, let's say, in financing stage through your evaluator position. Is there an angle or a market niche that you feel that is not enough represented and not enough addressed by entrepreneurs that you could give an advice to a person that would like to start something new in tech today?
To start from a problem.
Yeah, to start from a problem.
This would be regardless of the field that they want to target, if it's medical, if it's environment, if it's, I don't know, something more technical, engineering related. The main aspect is to start from a problem and to be able to demonstrate that that problem needs a better solution. Otherwise, it will be difficult to get funded locally or at the European level. I think this is the main starting point, to understand how big the market is, and how many potential buyers you would have for what you're trying to do. Other than that, I don't think that we have too many uncovered areas at the moment, because people think out of the box a lot of times, and they understand what, for example, what the European Commission is willing to pay for. There was a time whenever you are saying we have an AI something going on, that was it. You would be getting the money. And I think this was around the 2020 when everything was around AI, and investors weren't even checking to understand what is this AI for real? What do you mean by AI? And there were a lot of situations when there was basically no real artificial intelligence there, and the solution didn't end up on the market. So the investors lost a lot of money at that point. So then they kind of shifted a little bit and understood that they need to be more attentive to what you're buying and where you invest your money. Then there was for sure that area where everyone was investing in blockchain. So these are different hypes of the of the funding market. It was kind of the same when blockchain was considered to be the next internet. All investors were blockchain based, something, okay, let's put our money into it. And again, of course, there were a lot of epic fails in that area as well. Not everything blockchain related was a success on the market. Then there was the medical, especially during the COVID. Anything medical related, if you're trying to improve something related to, especially to the
remote medical,
exactly, remote medical solutions, or drug discovery, or accelerate different processes in the medical area, that would have been a hit at the moment.
What is the hit today, and what do you think might be tomorrow?
Today, the military area, for sure.
So like drones?
Drones and defense and cybersecurity, for sure, related to the defense area, but not only, because now with the AI we have to protect ourselves more. So I would say cybersecurity is one of the hypes today, and different types of in the tech area, discovering new solutions for batteries, chips, and this type of infrastructure is also for sure a big area of interest, especially for the European Commission, where we have this gap that we are totally dependent on external sources. So they are trying to invest in these areas to try to gain a little bit to close the gap. But that it's not an easy
an easy task to address. Have you seen anything interesting, like mind-blowing in the last period of time on these areas that you can share?
I have seen some very interesting ideas, but
that you can share.
I can't really share at the moment. The first one that popped into my mind, I can't really share it.
It's under NDA, okay.
At the moment, but I have seen really interesting innovations in different areas. Starting from developing new medical devices that can somehow be a breakthrough in how we are approaching things at the moment. In data storage also, because with all the AI coming, data centers are an increasing problem. So I have seen actually quite different approaches in completely shifting how we are doing data storage nowadays in data centers, and coming with totally breakthrough solutions.
Like now, distributing storage, or like new data support?
Like totally new ways of storing data totally new materials, and using totally new approaches to store the data instead of using the conventional data centers. And I think this is also one of the hypes
main
today.
Topics.
So Dennis, our magic person in the back of the podcast, is telling us that actually is more than 95% of the people who watch this channel don't really subscribe. And I know that maybe you are sick of subscribing to more channels, but for us it means quite a lot. So if you like any of our episodes and if you would like to see a more valuable guest on this episode, can you please just subscribe or like our episode? Thank you very much.
If we can reinvent the way the RAM is happening or is done, then sky's the limit.
So you're saying, at the beginning, the fact that the main thing should be the problem that you address. And I want to ask you, outside of the fact that some either smaller companies or bigger, they don't really address the problem and then they are looking for some solutions. What's, from your perspective, the biggest pain point in implementing AI today?
For companies who are trying to implement?
To implement it, yeah.
I would say more or less the same issue. The fact that they don't start from a real flow, from a real process that they are trying to improve. Most of the times what you would hear is, I want to implement some AI. Mm-hmm. So the first question is, what decision are you trying to improve with the AI that you want in the company? And if there's no answer to that, that means that they're not ready for AI yet. So they don't know exactly what data they have available, how that data is stored. Most of the times it's fragmented in different files and notes and so on. So until you solve that problem, the AI strategy actually becomes a data strategy before it can become an AI strategy. So this is one of the main things that I see, and I hear it more and more often, because now everyone wants to have some very smart AI to do everything in the company very fast and very well. But that's not always easy, and it's not always possible. So first of all, you have to treat it as a business decision, as a management decision, not as an IT product, which also happens a lot of times. They say, okay, this is AI, so if it's AI, it's IT, so we'll just pass it to the IT.
And it doesn't work.
It doesn't work, because unless it comes from the top of the company and there's a real strategy for implementing it, and people are trained to use it and to understand the benefits and how that integrates into their processes, it won't work. It will just be another IT product or IT project that will probably not be successful, and nobody will know how to measure the outcome,
the efficiency,
the outcome of that project. So it definitely needs to be something very well supported by the management of the company at every level of management. And they have to understand how to also redesign the processes in the companies, because it's not always possible to keep the same processes without any type of change and just bringing an AI on top. Sometimes you have to redesign completely in order to have the benefits.
And the organizational structure needs to be also redesigned for this.
Most of the times.
What I'm taking out of what you said is that we need to have a data strategy first, then an AI strategy, and it needs to have top sponsorship.
Yes, and ownership, and a very clear governance inside of the company. This is also, I think, one of the issues that company would try to implement AI, but without defining
the
exact
result.
Ownership and the right governance for that. And AI without governance, it will probably just end up failing and bringing the wrong results and not bringing the return that they expected in the beginning.
That's what we also experience in the organization, different areas in which they are responsible for AI. Everybody's trying something, of course, from automating an email from your boss to a solution that, really could solve a problem.
How many AI-generated emails have you got today?
Oh, I don't know, because IT just told me on one topic, actually, I want to also ask Alexandra. IT gave me a message today saying, hey, why did you automate it? Because you're consuming credits even though you have a pro license. So I have no idea. I have to check.
Are you on Claude or on...
No, Copilot.
Or on Copilot, okay.
Yeah, so on that note, I was thinking on the discussions that you have with, and you said, stakeholders, and it is really important to start from the top. How much is the management when it comes to the cost of AI, and how much discussions are about that?
Very nice. Good question, yeah. Well, not really aware. I think their perspective most of the times would be that it's something for free, like a panic button. You have an AI button, you just press it and everything gets solved. But actually, if you want to implement AI solutions at an organizational level, you have to accept the fact that you will need a considerable budget for that. AI technology is not free; it costs quite a lot. And now we can talk about AI in two directions. One would be integrating AI in different software solutions that you use. So that would be some type of AI development. The other approach would be that you just integrate ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, whatever
And use it as
model.
a subscription or
and
directly.
use it in the company.
Yeah.
But that also costs. So if you have, for example, a software development team and you want for them to use Claude Code, you have to be very careful at how quickly the tokens just disappear from their wallet.
Yeah.
And these types of costs will probably increase. As I have read, I think a few weeks ago, that I think NVIDIA said that they are considering dropping a little bit the AI integration approach because the costs are just rising too high, and they ended up paying more for the AI integration than for the human programmers. So what their strategy at the moment would be to find the limit where we have the greatest benefits from AI and where we can manage with the traditional programmers, just because AI becomes too expensive. So that's also
at the same time, it's a matter also on micro decisions, because if you are using Fable 5 for everything that you are doing in each moment while you are developing or you are doing anything, then you'll be ending up paying a huge amount of money. But if you have a layer that decides what model needs to be used for each type of task based on the task, your cost might decrease a lot.
Yeah, that's also very true. Yeah.
And also there is a huge impact on from open source models that are released, like Kimi.
That will probably be one of the
counters.
next steps trends.
Did you have already clients that came to you after implementing AI and having a facepalm moment saying, "Oh my God, I didn't expect this to cost so much"?
Not yet.
Okay.
But I expect that will happen, because in my recent discussions with different companies, I heard this more and more, that AI becomes more expensive. Like in the beginning, they were so excited to integrate Claude. They were software companies.
Developers,
yeah. So everyone was, we'll just use Claude and everything will become so easy. We have Claude for everything here. Yeah. And at some point, they discovered that they consumed all the tokens for 1 month in 3 or 4 days or something like that. So that was, we have to do something. We have to adjust the strategy. It doesn't work quite like that. You can't just use Claude for every very single small task that you have. So you have to be a little bit cautious.
To look closely. So the first time that Claude has launched sub-agents on a Thursday. On Friday, I said I will need to experiment with it, and I played all my time until Monday morning. On Monday morning, my colleague, our CTO, Dragos, called me and said, "Do you know what happened during the weekend? We ended up spending $700 on Claude." So
this is a reality now.
This is a reality. It happens if you are not taking care.
But I have had situations where I worked with companies who wanted to develop, they had different ideas to do AI related projects. And in the end, the decision was not to go forward with the project, because based on a small pilot, it turned out that it's too expensive and that there's no real return of investment for the business. But luckily, I would say that the project started with some very accurate and measurable expectations. So at each step, they were able to understand if the outcomes would be as planned or not. Because most of the time, or a lot of times, we see this happening. Like, you use a very small set of data. Getting back to data, it's essential for any type of AI that you would want to do. You start with a small set of data. You somehow train a model on that data set. Everything works maybe well from a technical perspective when you do this initial validation, but then when you try to go to the real world, which is
Scale it.
messy most
Yeah.
of the times, and data don't always look like the ones that you had in your training
set.
data set, then you discover that you lose the accuracy, you lose all the performance metrics that
They were looking great.
Yeah. They looked good in the beginning, but in the real world, they don't get close to
Do you
that.
have the liberty to say more about the project in order to know, like, if you have a project that you know that doesn't work today with AI, that it's that you tried it and it's too expensive? Can you say it was this type of process that we tried to automate?
It was more like a computer vision
Computer vision, okay.
type of project. So on that area of AI. And it turned out that to identify different objects, so the purpose was to do an automatic identification of objects. It turned out that there are too many particular situations. That you can encounter in real life.
Okay, so the error rate was a little bit
Yeah.
too big
Yeah.
to be acceptable.
Yes.
Yeah. And you've started from scratch with models and trained them, or you've started with, for example, models from AWS, from Bedrock, from that are offered by providers.
It was started from scratch. It was
okay.
started from scratch, but there were some, for the initial data set, there were some public
Tests,
data sets used for the training. But in the end, actually, the issue was that in real life, you have too many factors that influence that the performance of the algorithm. So
It didn't quite work.
it didn't perform as expected, let's say. And this is also, I mean, in any situation where you are thinking about even automating a process, you have to be very careful in deciding if it's worth it or not. So the business analysis in each case is very important in a company.
Totally agree. Please.
There, one of the friends I have is, you know, in a company as a board member, and he's always saying, well, AI is just a hype. I haven't seen any example in which delivers. I haven't seen any things that, you know, it's really bringing value. And I believe that that's a kind of a belief that people have, especially in the organizations where they didn't manage to implement that. And I want to ask you, you know, you started to study AI quite a while ago. What would you say to a person who actually say, well, it's a hype, it's not going to fly? What's your view on that?
It's true. I started studying artificial intelligence when I was a student. We had at the time, we also had a course at the university about artificial intelligence, and I liked the topic. And I have to say, it was important at that moment. Also, it was an important technology, but it was very domain specific. Like you would find it in recommender systems, in fraud detection, in medical applications to have some medical support in deciding a diagnosis and maybe a treatment and so on. But it was not so well known for the large public. So even at that time, there was measurable value that the AI technology was bringing to different sectors, but you would have to think about what's worth automating, where it's worth investing in such a solution, just because the technology, this technology was not cheap at that time either. And then with ChatGPT, it became very visible, so everyone had access to it. It became very easy to talk to artificial intelligence. So a lot of people think that it's a new technology that just is just being developed, and it all started in 2019 or when ChatGPT was first launched. But the benefits of this technology are much older than that. I think we can already find different statistics showing for different companies who implemented AI, what were even the financial benefits that they had. So at some point, I mean, if you implement it with the right strategy and with the right action plan, you can for sure have positive outcomes. But it's not like, as I said, it's not the magic button
that you can press.
that you can just press and someone will come help you without
like a
without
genie.
you doing anything, like a genie.
Like a genie out of the bottle. Hey, Claude,
So yeah.
pay invoices.
For example, I've used this example in different presentations. It's one of the very big delivery companies in pharma. So they handle supply chain. Distribution companies, yeah. They implemented an AI-based solution starting from the fact that they noticed that they have a lot of data, but the important thing is that their data was centralized and clean and well structured,
relatively clean.
So this is one of the steps when you start an AI project. This would be the first thing you do, clean up the data. But it's important at least to have them or to know where your data is, because sometimes you discover that in companies they don't know all the details about where data is being stored and who is using the data and what for and so on. So they started this project. It's a decision support system to optimize their supply stocks, just to correlate the seasons with different discounts, promotions, and with external factors. So it's not a ChatGPT kind of AI. It's just a business type. It's a machine learning. It's a predictive type of AI. It's not what we now understand when we say AI. We all of a sudden think about ChatGPT talking to us. So that's a different type of approach. And they did a pilot project for 1 year. They saved more than 1 million euros just from the area. I mean, I think they had it only in one country, so it was just for the warehouses in that area. They improved the efficiency, or they optimized the stocks with over 60%. So that
over
was
60%. That is a huge amount.
That was a very big success.
It's considering the locked capital that they have freed. Yeah. It's a huge amount. It's
exactly. So I think this is one example that can help people understand that if you do it with the right plan, then it can work. But the idea here would be that the management was involved. It was their strategic decision where to implement it, how to integrate it into the existing flows, and how to train people on how to work with this new system.
To listen the recommendation of the AI and do the orders in accordance to the insights provided.
I think what Alexandra is saying is what we also discovered in some other discussions, is the fact that if you have a CEO or a board of directors who actually have a strong vision and they are actually leading it, then it can get to the point compared with someone who will see that, well, I have to have something on AI on my strategy as a company, so I'm putting AI there. But in reality, there's no vision because maybe you don't understand what the technology does, you don't understand what you can solve with it, and then it just stays a nice word on PowerPoint because your PowerPoint strategy has AI in that.
And you report it to the board members or to the stock market.
That you're doing something with AI,
The ticker grows, but the reality remains the same.
That's it, I think you have to understand, if you are leading a company, if you're the CEO, you have to, first of all, you have to train yourself to understand what this AI is all about and understand a little bit about what's behind the limitations, where it can be positive integration, where it can be limited by the way it works. So you have to understand if you really need it in the company and where you need it in the company, where it can be actually relevant and where it would be just branding. We say we have AI, but so you have to understand where you're losing money, where you're losing quality, where you're wasting time, and how often and how much. Because if you discover that you have one flow which happens one time per year, and you have some manual work to do in that specific process, then it's probably not worth considering developing
Anything.
any AI or anything, just because it will never pay back the money. But if it's something that you do on a daily basis, or your employees have to do several times a day, it's one of the typical processes in the company, and you can somehow automate that or improve it with AI, then it might make sense to make the decision. And you don't need start small. I think this is another idea that companies should understand. You don't have to think about AI as, okay, we'll do all AI now, everything in every small detail, email, whatever will have AI. Start small with a small project, understand the benefits, understand what the outcomes are from that small project, and then decide on how to scale it.
Roll it out gradually, right?
Yeah.
Now, considering the way the artificial intelligence wave is moving across the economy and across the jobs market, how do you feel it's changing the reality for your students, for the future development engineers?
It's already happening, because I think you've also noticed this trend in the market, that the junior level jobs are
Slightly
becoming more rare than they used to be. And I think this is partly also because some companies also stopped some projects, or the market is also
chilling out,
and sometimes just waiting to see what's happening with all the geopolitical issues that we have around. But the other factor is also AI, because especially when we talk about these repetitive tasks, what does a junior do when they get hired?
Simple
More
stuff.
like the basic stuff, the repetitive tasks, prepare some documentation and presentations and so on. So these are tasks that can be easily done with AI now. So instead of having maybe a team of 10 juniors, you can just keep 2, work with AI, and have a senior just overseeing the entire thing and supervising and making sure that everything happens according to the strategy. And this is something that is already happening even on the Romanian market, because we notice that there are less internship offers for the students.
Like when we say less, means like it decreased with 20%, or they're like half of the ones that existed 4 years ago?
Less than half.
Oh. Less
than half, yeah. So this is, as I said, probably a combination of the economic situation with the AI boom. So I wouldn't say it's 100% just AI. But I think it's also important for them to shift now their perspective a bit, and just reconsider that having the technical skills is not really enough now. You have to also be able to develop complementary skills like soft skills and critical thinking, to make sure that you use your own judgment all the time, and that you have these analytical skills very well developed, because that will make a difference in the end, compared to just receiving a task and just implementing a task from A to Z.
So let's say that I just finished university, yeah? I'm a certified developer, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, engineer. And 6 months have passed. I wasn't able to find a job. And now I'm calling the person who I trust a lot, because I've been to your classes, and I liked a lot what I've seen there. And what do I do? What actions should I take in order to start my career? Like,
it's a tough one.
I know. I have the same responsibility for my daughters, and this is why I'm looking towards you.
I would encourage them to, even from the times that they are still students, to be willing to engage more with real projects and with different types of, companies that are willing to work with students, even if it's not a paid
So taking jobs on the side. That would be, so while I'm in university, to take something on the side in order
at
to
least
get...
at least some projects, because I think a very important skill now is to understand what the real world looks like outside of the limited things that you do in the university. It will be difficult for them to gain this experience, so I think the sooner they start, the better will be for them. Not to encourage them to have jobs outside the university. Maybe this is one shift that universities will have to do in the future, to make sure that students get more applied experience even from the times where they are still studying, so that they have more relevant experience when they graduate, so that they become more relevant for the companies. And also encourage them, instead of just learning like we used to, you have this the theory to learn and then be able to reproduce it. Put more accent on the critical thinking, put more accent on correlating things, on working in different contexts, and putting the information that you receive together in different projects. I think this will make a difference in the future in how we...
So like instead of specialization, that was the let's say yesterday's objective, now is to become more general and more generalistic and understand more high level topics.
That will be important, yes. I think in the end, I think we'll have to do both somehow. I don't think we will be too relevant if we stay too general, but instead of just diving into a specialization from the beginning, I think it's also important to understand these high level concepts and how they fit together, because this is one thing that, for example, AI is not really good at. I mean, not at a human level, at least at the moment. So this will be one place where for sure a human expert will still be relevant in the future.
So I've seen a comparison at some point in time where when development started at the beginning, everything happened in machine code, in assembler. And then everything moved one abstraction layer up, and we've gone to C, and then one layer up to other frameworks, more and more and more abstract. And people, even if engineers, even if they are trained to know assembler in principle, they never end up touching it today. Most of them, like 95% of them, do not end up touching it and do not need it. Is there a possibility in the future for the concepts that we are used to manipulate today in development to have the same fate as the concept in assembler, like stay in a much higher abstraction layer and almost never needing them?
I think it's very difficult to say at the moment. Where will be the line between what a developer will still have to do and where, for example, AI can take over? But for the moment, I think that for the most complex tasks, we still need the human understanding and the human skills. And for example, I've seen situations in using AI for software development, where at some point it just started losing the logic. So for the basic tasks, everything was perfect. Like, what do you want to do? I want to do a login interface. You could find that source code anywhere, even before AI. You didn't need to write it from scratch. And up to a point where things are still clear, let's say, or at a, let's say, more minimal level, it can do just perfect. I mean, what probably a programmer would have done in 5 days, the AI will just deliver in 30 minutes, let's say.
Correct.
But if you are developing a more complex system with interoperability and different aspects like that, or you get to a certain level of abstraction even with the system that you are developing, then the AI cannot do everything. So at some point you will need the human oversight to correct the logic, to correct even some bugs. I have seen situations where the developer working with AI was just stuck with a bug.
And
The AI couldn't find a solution after
a lot of iterations and tokens and
exactly
costs.
and costs. So in the end,
the senior that was called in.
The developer had to step in and do it the old traditional way, because it would probably have just taken longer with the AI. So for sure, I think what will be a must in the future for software developers as well, even though I know sometimes they don't like to get into not the business aspects, but the business logic. They just want to stick with the technical aspects. That will probably not be enough. They will need to understand the business of the applications that they are developing better, so that they can guide the
AI to do it.
The AI, or there will probably be mixed teams in the future. You will have the software developers working with AI agents and so on to develop different applications. But the human insights will be more relevant in just structuring this in the entire complexity and logic of the applications.
I filtered out, I'm curious.
Exactly.
You
I felt
feel
it.
on my
I
face,
feel it, yeah.
Okay, good. So, right now in the university, are the students taught effectively how to use sub-agents, agents, and skills, how to address the harness of an AI system? Or is it something that they are doing or they are getting from other sources?
So and so. We are starting to implement that in the university. How to say, probably students will be able to tell you better if it's enough or not. But I think the important thing is that we are making this change, and they are studying artificial intelligence in different ways across different areas. So, for example, a few years ago, we would have the artificial intelligence course and maybe machine learning, the traditional approaches that were already being implemented, and they were somehow well researched and studied and so on. So they would have this the AI expert systems, machine learning courses, maybe focus a little bit more in different master degree programs on artificial intelligence topics. But now we see it integrated in different faculties, in different areas, just because it is everywhere. So you study medical systems, but you have something related to AI. You study energy and you have AI. You study electrical engineering and you have AI there also. So we start having the mix everywhere, because it's important everyone will be using it in the future. So I think it's important that the system also understood that it's one of the requirements that we have to.
What difference do you see between the juniors that are studying now and they address their homework with AI, and the senior engineers that start adopting AI?
This is a very good question.
I'm feeling it on my end. So this is why I'm asking.
I would say that unfortunately, the juniors now, because they know that they have AI and they have all this technology that just comes already packed, they have somehow stopped questioning what is actually inside all of that. So they get something from the AI, they just take it as granted.
So they suspend critical thinking in a way?
Yes. Unfortunately, this is one of the consequences, because with AI, you get very quick answers, you get very quick solutions. For a more basic level, surprisingly, they work quickly. So the unfortunate consequence is that they have stopped asking questions. They have stopped being curious about understanding what are the mechanisms behind all of that. Why is that happening? Why is that parameter set at that value, for example? Why is that the right threshold? Why is that the right approach? Is there another perspective on that? So this will be one thing that society will have to face in the end. And this is the main difference between a senior developer or a senior specialist,
the old way,
and who is probably already gained this skill to dive deeper into knowledge, into the things that he is doing.
So
He will have a better understanding of the mechanisms and also of how to use the solutions in the right way.
So that means that if we continue on the same path, the science will be replaced by a form of theology, where we are not questioning anything, but we are considering for granted the results,
Yes,
the answers.
But as you know, and I'm sure that our students and also the juniors in companies know, that is a very high risk because the AI makes mistakes. It won't always give you the right answer. So you might be lucky to get the right answer. A lot of times you will not be lucky to get the right answer.
Somebody was saying this like the other day, because I said, do we go for a run and do some sport? And the other guy said, well, I am not that much into, and the other said, I think you should take care of your body and do sport because the future doctor of yours is learning medicine on ChatGPT. Which I found it quite funny.
Yeah.
Alexandra, when you look at the Romania, so Romania has historically built a nice...
Cozy.
a nice area when it comes to, IT. So it becomes like a hub of IT. And I want to ask you, how do you see the AI and Romania as a country? Because, well, now we have a political landscape which is not that favorable in terms of anything. However, I cannot say that I've heard someone saying that, well, we have a vision related to AI for Romania. And I want to ask you, how do you see that?
The same, unfortunately. I don't think the overall system treated AI or digitalization as a priority for Romania. So unfortunately, I think that we are mostly AI users. So we use technology developed by others, infrastructures developed by others, instead of being AI creators. And I think that's a pity because we have, technically speaking, we have a well-developed IT sector. We have good talent when it comes to software development and to even IT engineering and so on. And it's a pity that we're not trying to put that into value more. Now, one of the problem is for sure the mindset.
Yeah.
We are by default we don't have the courage to innovate and to think about creating new products. We are mostly adopters of different types of technology products, and even the IT sector in Romania has mostly been outsourcing, not really creating, really value adding and really creating new solutions in Romania. Although I think we do have that capacity, we're just not putting it at work. But
we don't have the leadership for it.
The leadership, with the vision and the strategy. I think that's very, very correct to say. Yeah. So I think this is a must for us to do in terms of country strategy, of a national strategy, to decide what do we want to do. Do we want to just be users of a technology that comes from the outside, or are we willing to try to also encourage the local development? I'm not saying it will be impossible to create the next language model. I mean, this is an already lost battle for Europe, we can say. I mean, the big powers in terms of these, the large models are coming from the US and China. But we could put into value what we have, like take different sectors, like the medical sector, for example, or precision agriculture. We do a lot of agriculture in Romania, so we could think about innovating a little bit in that area. We have the potential, or energy, but we need to have a common strategy for that. And I think at the moment things are very fragmented. Talking about AI strategy in different areas, and also internally in companies, because we were talking about how we adopt AI in companies. Most of the times it's adopted individually every employee is trying to do something better, write an email faster, prepare a report faster, but it's not an organizational strategy that is implemented
Top to bottom.
top to bottom with a common vision for the employees to follow and to understand.
Let's imagine that tomorrow morning the phone rings and
Let me think. It's the president and appoint her
No,
prime
no,
minister.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. So you are appointed prime minister for 10 years guaranteed. What do you do in order to put Romania on the map, considering the future of technology?
Would I have the funding to do that?
Any funding? Yeah, we can apply for funding. Yeah, so no problem. We solve that.
Anyway, we do that. Funding.
Because this is one of the critical aspects. We can talk about wanting to innovate and do research, but unless we also fund these areas in a much better way than we have so far, I think that's more or less a useless discussion. You can't have real innovation without a real fundamental research. So, as you know, research is now being completely discarded and treated as irrelevant. So that would be probably one thing that I would change. I would try to motivate researchers and to put more emphasis on the innovation strategy and management, and also try to educate and re-educate people in the sector in terms of innovating and changing a little bit the mindset and the approach of things.
The solution would be the allocation of funds in research, in fundamental research.
One of them, because globally speaking, a lot of the breakthrough innovations started from a very fundamental research that at some point managed to change or to completely change an approach in a sector or in an area. But it's not enough just to fund one sector. So you would have to start from probably fundamental research, then move to the next step, how you bring that research to being pivoted and demonstrate that it works, and then bring it to market. This is a gap that we haven't filled at all in Romania. Even if we do have some fundamental research happening, then there's a very big gap to do the technological transfer to the market. There's no funds, but more than that, we don't have the education to do that because it wasn't a priority. So we don't talk enough about startups, for example, in universities, I think. Talking about the engineering universities.
We are training them to be employees, not to become entrepreneurs.
I think we're starting to focus on entrepreneurship as well. For example, at this point, we do have in our faculty, we have a master degree program focusing on startups and ecosystem and so on. So we have accelerator programs, but it's just too small compared to what Europe has at the moment, not to mention what the United States or other ecosystems have at the moment.
I see that United States has a model of funding that is based on free market, and Europe has another model that is based on central allocation. Yeah. Do you think, I know that Europe is not working in this moment, yeah, but it might be not because of this way of allotting the funds. Do you think we should change the way we are doing fund allocation today? That I'm talking about the European strategy, not the Romanian strategy, because we cannot talk about that. So should it be changed? Should it be reinvented? Or is it working like this, but we need to give it time?
I don't think it's really working as it is being implemented now. It's already been implemented for quite some years in this way, and there's still not enough. We still don't have enough relevant unicorns.
Yeah.
So a lot of the funds that the European Commission allocated for innovation and for technology, this was their purpose. So they explicitly said we want to discover the next European unicorns and to ensure European sovereignty in technology and digital areas and so on. But things are still moving quite slow, and a lot of the money that they have invested in innovative startups and innovative companies still haven't reached that
Stage.
very high level. Some of them maybe never demonstrated that they can go to market or make a change when they go to market. So I think that maybe we should shift something in the approach. It's hard to say if it's that easy just to copy the model from the United States, because they have made that model work for years.
Yeah.
Their system is completely different. So in terms of even how they do things in universities, they encourage their professors to also think in terms of business and go to market with something. And I remember at some point I had a discussion with one of the founders of Databricks. They've become very famous. One of the Romanians that founded Databricks. And I was curious to understand a little bit about how they do things there in the university. And the first thing he said was, we start from a real problem.
Strong.
This is the issue in how you do things in Romania. We were talking about Romania at that moment. You don't do that. You don't think about what real problems are in the world, in society, in your potential customers. So this is what we do. Whenever we want to develop something new or add a new feature to the product, this is what we think about.
Is there a problem there?
Is there a problem there? Yeah. And the way that we want to solve it, is it a better way? Is it an innovative way? Will it disrupt somehow the current approach and so on?
If you could change one single thing in the way the European funding system works, what would be the change that you would do that you believe that it would have the biggest impact?
I would try to engage more private investors and VCs. If we talk about technology, I would try to attract them into co-funding with the public funds.
Interesting.
Yeah.
As we are approaching towards the end, do you have any last curiosity?
I have a lot of curiosities, but I think we have the reserve for our next podcast already.
Yeah, probably. So in that case, I'll have the last one.
Please do.
And I'm curious. We have a tradition in the podcast, and the last question is a question that sounds like this. Anything that you automated for your personal life?
Oh, besides the water in the garden, which was not done by me, but it's in the family, so it is one automation. I have an agent helping me do the research on what's new in AI.
Okay.
Just because I figured he can help, or it can help, whatever.
So it gives you like weekly or daily?
Weekly. I started with daily. Then I discovered that's
too noisy.
That's too noisy, yeah, because they were just getting repetitive. So now it's just weekly. So on every Friday morning, I get an update from my agent telling me what's been happening in AI and technology more broadly.
What have you built it in? With Claude? With
ChatGPT, because it was the first one that I had a subscription at, and so I stuck with it now.
Nice.
And I created it with ChatGPT, so we got attached.
Are you using ChatGPT or Claude more?
Both. But I think I like ChatGPT more for the content creation. So whenever I need to structure ideas, summarize, generate new ideas, I think it does a better job than Claude.
Especially in Romanian, it's 3 times better.
Probably it's because of how it was trained, or because they started, they focused from the beginning on this content creation. So this was their differentiator, that the creativity that they were claiming. And I prefer Claude for the more technical parts.
Okay. Well, Alexandra, thank you very much.
Thank you.
as usually happens in great conversation. I don't know when the time flies, but when I checked the clock, I was like, oh, okay. Thank you for accepting the invitation and joining us. And hope to see you to another episode in a while.
Me too. Thank you very much for having me. And it was a real pleasure to talk to you
pleasure.
today.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.